All right. A very good afternoon, everybody. It is 4 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. My name is Kim Pong, everybody, and I am the CEO and founder of Strength Asia. And Strength Asia is a organization that I started some 10 years ago, and we are in the business of really helping organizations throughout Asia, build a culture of engagement here. And what does that mean? It simply means, by building a culture of engagement, how do we get leaders of those organizations, the managers of those organizations, the teams of those organizations, how do we get them to be more emotionally engaged in what they're doing, to be more impactful in what they're doing, to be more energized, to be more satisfied, to be more
Facebook
influential?
Live Gimbal.
It's in. Yeah, Facebook Live is already in, isn't it? So actually, we are already in Zoom, and I think we're already on Facebook Live. Let me just double check on this, everybody. Yes, tell me that we are in, please. Okay. Yeah, we are live on Facebook, isn't it? So for those, anyway,
Yes.
yes, thank you very much, Ali. So that's just my support team here, everybody. Now, by the way, you just distracted me in a little bit of my train of thoughts here, but that's kind of cool. I forgive you. Anyway, everybody, welcome. My name again, once again, is Kim Pong, and I'm the CEO and founder of Strength Asia. Such a pleasure to have everybody come on board here. And today we have people coming in to join us from Zoom, as well as people coming on Facebook Live here. So for those of you who are on Zoom and on Facebook Live, I'm going to ask you to to do a couple of things here. Anytime you have a comment, you have a perspective, you have some insights, or you have some questions, right? Please go ahead and just put it into what do you call that? Put it into the chat box in Zoom, or put it into the comments page here on Facebook Live here. And for those of you who are here, I would really love you, right? I mean, make this a community here, right? I would really love you to say hello on the chat box or hello on the Facebook Live comments here. That kind of makes me feel a little bit less lonely. So I'm kind of operating out from my home here, kind of on my own, but it'd be kind of cool to really get you, on the comments and on the chat box saying hello and all that. So as we are going through this whole session in the next, 25-30 minutes, I hope to be able to get some time to answer your question and just to be able to interact a little bit with you here. Now, today we are into our series talk number 2 here, and the first time we ran the series was about 2 months ago. And 2 months ago we started with a series 1, and we ended about maybe 3 weeks ago, and now we started sometime last Friday with our second series, which is focusing on the new normal that is created by COVID-19. So last Friday we kicked off the first talk of the second series with a talk on the resilient leader in the new normal. Today we are talking about the team, and we are talking about how it's about embracing the new normal as a team together here. So let's get going. Now, the new normal. Now we hear this term, being thrown out, time and time again here, right? It's the new normal. It's a new normal because of COVID-19. Things are changing. Things are, are the way it is, and this is, the new normality that we are seeing today. So I'm going to ask everybody a really simple question here today to start this off here. In your own personal experience, what is the new normal? What does a new normal mean for you? What does new normal mean for your business? What does the new normal mean, for you personally and for your family? I'm gonna invite you to use the chat box. I'm gonna invite you to use Facebook Live here to go ahead and put up the meaning of what new normal means to you, your business, your family, and all that, right? And I'm gonna come back to you to that later. For now, while I'm waiting for your response, I'm going to share with you, what I think the new normal is, right? So if you think about it here, the question is really this, right? What is the new normal? Well, the first time we ever actually came across this word here, or this term here, the new normal, was actually way back in the 2008 financial crisis. If you guys remember, what happened back then, it was really about the subprime mortgage, right? Where basically major banks around the world collapsed, and then a lot of banks were under very, very severe liquidity pressure. And as a result of that, a lot of the banking policies, a lot of the banking perspective, a lot of things regarding, how we do business, through the banks and financially changed completely overnight, at the financial crisis of 2008, at the financial crisis of 2012, right? Now, and as a result of that, the economies, the policymakers and all that, they begin to coin this new term called the new normal. So a lot of the way, we used to, transact with the banks or to do our loans or to do our banking facilities and all that, that completely changed, and that became the term they used, the new normal, right? Because things are different and they're here to stay. It's the normality right now, and it's the new normal for today. Now, you begin to see that, when COVID-19 happened, very, very quickly, the term, the new normal, began to surface very quickly. COVID-19, when it landed on us unsuspectingly, it essentially changed our life, upside down. Every one of us, have to work from home. Businesses were shut down. There was social distancing. Many things that we used to take for granted, we cannot do. So a lot of things are really topsy-turvy as a result of that. Singapore, as you know, went into a circuit breaker, and we're beginning to slowly come back out of the circuit breaker. And good news, for those of you who have not heard it, this coming Friday, we are getting out from circuit breaker phase 1, and now we are getting into phase 2, which means, you get a chance to eat at restaurants and all that, right? But still, the conditions are still not as rosy as it used to be, right? So I'm just very curious, whether any one of you actually has gone in there and talk about a new normal here before I carry on with my current, sharing here. So as I'm looking at the chat, nobody really has told me. Oh wait, hold on, there is. So Kevin Lai says, the new normal is about doing things differently compared to 3 months ago. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what COVID-19 did for us, right? And then I think I'm looking at Doreen here that says, new normal is thinking out of the box, but yet to complete some business as before. Wow, very philosophical. Very cool, Doreen. How about this here? Let me look at somebody else here. Adrian Lim says, the new normal is zooming around. Hey, tell me about it, man. I've been zooming since morning until now. Jazz K says, it's the new in the old. That's the new normal. Karen Ler says, it's the virtual team. Can't agree more with you than that, right? And I think Lombardo says it's more working from home. And then I think Leona Lee says it's a new social norms here. Now I'm going to look at, so far nobody's giving me any response here on Facebook, but so for those of you that are on Facebook, please let me know, right? So you guys have talked about the new normal. It's the new social norms. It's the new habits here, right? But the thing here about the new normal is this, guys, there's really nothing normal about the new normal that we are going through right now. There's nothing normal about it. Think about it. I mean, it's new, right? A lot of what we are facing today, whether you're in the Philippines, in Indonesia, in Thailand, in Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, China, a lot of what we are going through as a result of COVID-19, they're new. But there's nothing normal about it, right? So when I say we use the word new normal, I kind of feel a little bit uneasy about that, and the reason for that is really simple. If we classify the situation that we're going through wrongly, that means if we are not able to describe what we're going through correctly, then our response to the situation, our response to this season in our life will also be not exactly, very accurate or very right, isn't it? I just feel that somehow we just borrowed the name new normal, just to replace all the confusion, to replace all the uncertainties, to replace all the fears, that many of us are going through as a result of this COVID-19. And I mean, business are not doing well and all that, right? So we say, hey, it's the new normal, right? It's the way life is, and somehow it makes you feel a teeny weeny little bit better. Somehow I just feel also that the new normal is like the chicken soup. It's like, you're sick, you're recuperating, and you say, well, let's take some chicken soup. It'll make you feel better. You and I know that chicken soup doesn't really heal us really, really well, but yet we take it because it's comforting for the spirit, it's soothing to the soul. So maybe in that respect, the word new normal does that for us. It soothes us a little bit. It puts us into a certain kind of reality space that says, okay, there's nothing you can do about what's happening here. This is the new normal. So chill. But yet again, I don't feel comfortable with that because there's nothing normal about what we're going through. Because it is not normal to social distance, right? I mean, since when, have you social distance before COVID-19? Now, for me, I've never even heard of the word social distancing, prior to COVID-19 days. It was during COVID, it was during whatever that was happening, that I begin to hear this word called social distancing, right? So it's not normal to social distance. It is not normal, to avoid friends, and colleagues, for a long period of time here. I've not I've not hugged my mother for a long time right now. So I'm really looking forward to this Friday where Singapore enters into phase 2 and you can visit, your parents and all that all over again, right? Excuse me. Now, so it is not normal to avoid friends and colleagues. Now, what about this? It is also not normal to be wearing masks everywhere. This is one thing that really gets to me, right? Now, when you go for a walk, do you wear a mask or do you not wear a mask? Well, some people say, well, if you're on a brisk walk, then you don't have to wear a mask. But if you're on a quick walk, or you're on a slow casual walk, then yeah, you have to wear a mask here. But then that's so relative, isn't it? I mean, I find it so confusing, when it's person walking briskly and when it's person, not walking briskly. I really wish that, the government in Singapore, besides giving us a face mask, they will also give us a speed gun, right? So we can kind of point at somebody and kind of squeeze the gun at the guy and say, hey, stop, right? You are actually walking. You are not brisk walking. Please put on a mask. But I mean, I'm just saying, right? So it is not normal to wear mask everywhere, right? But it is normal to drink kopi at a hawker center. Now, for those who are not Singaporeans, kopi is our traditional coffee in Singapore, and hawker center essentially is our outdoor food centers here, right? Now, it's really normal to go to the hawker center and buy a cup of, really, really hot, fragrant coffee and drink it in the traditional cup there and then. It is it's just frustrating for me to get out there and and take away all the time, right? It's normal to drink coffee at a hawker center. It is very normal to walk in crowded streets, right? Now, it's just so, I know it's people are squeezing from front, from back, from sides, right? But gosh, feel the energy, take in the atmosphere. I'm just wishing that I can get out there again, to be with people all over again, right? It's normal to walk in crowded streets. Now, it is absolutely normal to fly to Hong Kong on a day trip. Not many of you would do that. It's rather expensive and time consuming in that sense, but it's normal. I mean, there was a time I actually got up on the first flight out of Singapore to Hong Kong, met up with my client in the afternoon, shake his hand, and then have the meeting, see him eye to eye for that, and then have a meal with some friends, and then on the last flight, come back out again. It's tiring. It costs money. It is very rushed. But hey, that's normal. It is normal to fly to Hong Kong for a day trip here. But the whole idea is this. When we call what we are going through today as the new normal, like I said, there's nothing normal about what we're going through, right? All those social distancing, all those mask wearing, all those working from home, all those business shutting down, those are not normal. So we cannot call it the new normal, but I think we can call it the new abnormal. So essentially, I think what we are all trying to do right now is that we are all, going through this season or this holding period called new abnormal that eventually is going to lead us into the real next normal. So the whole idea is really this, right? As a team, as a company working together, what are you and I doing, during this holding period, during this period where it is the new abnormal that eventually is going to bring us to the real next normal, where there's not going to be any, where there'll be no more social distancing, where people is going to go to work freely, where you can go to restaurants, where you can go anywhere you want without wearing a mask, right? That's the next normal here. So during this time when we are all together in this season, I think we really want to do everything that we can in our power. So that we can really continue to, keep ourselves employed, keep our jobs secure here. We want to do everything in our power to make our business, be better, to rebuild the business, to restore the business that has suffered so much, as a result of this whole COVID-19 here. That in the process, during this time, we can be positively engaged, we can be mentally locked in, and we can also be equipping ourselves, technologically speaking, our capabilities, so that when the next normal come around, we are ready for it. The whole idea for us, a challenge for us, is not about merely surviving in this new abnormal or this new normal thing that we call, today, right? It's not just merely surviving, but the challenge is about focus on the things that we're doing so that we can begin to thrive when the next normal comes around here. So the question for you and I here is this: what would your team and my team look like, at the end of this whole pandemic crisis, right? I certainly hope that, by the time this whole pandemic crisis is over and we are into the real next normal, that our team will not be the same old team that started before the whole COVID-19. But instead, because of the process that we're going through, because of the challenges that we're going through together, because of, the new things that we need to learn and the new ways we need to figure out on how to make good, for what we are doing, that we can actually become a team that is stronger, a team that's more integrated, a team that's more resilient, and a team that's more creative, doing the work that we have been doing. So how do we do that? How do we, get a team that is stronger, more integrated, more resilient, and more creative here? Well, a couple of ways, right? The first thing is really about the leadership here. And I spent some time talking about the leadership last week here. And I was very, very quickly kind of do a little bit of quick recap here. I said the resilient leader in the new normal, it's about the rapid resilient leader. And I used the acronym RAPID, R-A-P-I-D here. And RAPID, stands for respond, adapt, purpose, invest, and deploy here. So let me just run through this very quickly with everybody here. A rapid resilient leader respond not to fear, but he or she respond to reason, to unity, and hope. These are leaders that really help their team seize the reason for fighting the fight, help the team seize the reason of not fearing, but being able to come together and do better. And this brings people together and it brings hope for people here. The rapid resilient leader is adaptive. They are adaptable. They focus on what is most needed in the moment. They focus on what is most required in people, in the teams here. And they prefer speed over elegance and survival over form here. So in other words, they're not going to think too much about, how to make it pretty and how to plan it properly, but it's really about doing everything it takes so that the business survives, so that our people can continue to be engaged, so that we can do productive work together, right? Speed over elegance, survival over form here. And, the next thing that a rapid resilient leader does is, purpose, and a purpose simply means is a leader knows his purpose, means a leader knows how to translate or communicate that purpose to his teams here. And teams who knows their purpose finds greater courage to do what they're doing today, finds greater meaning to do what they're doing today, and they find that purpose becomes that light of hope for them here, right? Now, and the third and the fourth thing here is that leaders invest into the future here. Now, a lot of companies, because of COVID-19, they go into deep cost cutting. Well, the research has shown that companies that goes into deep cost cutting may not thrive as well when the next new normal comes around here, right? So great leaders, essentially you have to balance between, what is short-term survival and what is long-term investment for thriving here. The next one, last but not least, is to deploy your people here. Now, you are not alone, leaders. I said that last week. You're not alone. You don't have to make all these decisions. You don't have to, have the burden be upon you the whole time here, right? But hey, you got to look at your people, give them the empowerment, and let them do what you cannot do. And I said this last week, in crisis, this is where superheroes are discovered and found here. You may never know how amazing your people could be, and what kind of hidden skills or knowledge that they have that are able, to do the things that they do best in. By the way, if you see me distracted, it is my cat at the bottom again. Mumu has just gotten into the room again. Don't know how she does that, but she's in, right? So anyway, let's just go with this. So respond, adapt, purpose, invest, and deploy here. I would love to hear from you again into the chat box and to the Facebook Live here, everybody. Of all these four qualities here, which of these qualities do you think your leader possesses today? Is he or she responding, adaptive, purposeful driven, invest, or deploy? Let me know, on the chat box here. Now, so what should teams do? What should teams do to embrace the new normal? Let me start with what they should not do, all right? So teams, right, who is embracing this new normal, you should not wait it out and hope for the best. You should not wait it out and hope that, this whole thing will blow away and everything will be okay. Well, it is going to go away eventually, but it's going to take a while, right? So if you are saying, look, I'm going to wait it out and hope for the best here, it's almost akin, right, to you say, oh, I'm having a headache, let's take a Panadol. Well, the truth is this, that Panadol may help you somewhat, but this headache is going to last for a very, very long time here. So if you're just going to wait it out and hope for the best, you're not doing, yourself a favor here. Your team is really, being stuck in status quo here. The second thing here is don't waste the opportunity, right? Don't waste the opportunity, to really take advantage of this. And I want to quote JFK, JF Kennedy here. And JF Kennedy says this, right? In a crisis, be aware of the danger, but recognize the opportunity here, right? Be aware of the danger, but recognize the opportunity. And he must have a clue to, what the Chinese words for danger is, right? So in Chinese, the way we write danger is these two words called wei ji, right? Wei, where is it? Wei ji, right? And wei actually, means crisis, and ji means opportunity, right? So in the midst of a crisis, you can actually figure out some opportunities here. And I want to share a very quick story with everybody here. Now, every weekend, I will go to my favorite pork noodle stall called Riverside, Riverside Noodle Store here, and it's in Singapore Zion Hawker Center here, run by this guy called Kevin, right? Now I love his noodles. Now you hear that ringing sound? That's Momo. You hear that? I'm gonna come back to you, everybody. She is meowing all over again. Here we are. Hang on. Just to show you that I'm not bluffing, guys. This is her again. Letting her out again. Ah. All right, guys. I apologize for that, for Mumu, for gate crashing everybody again one more time. So where was I? Yeah, so Kevin, right, in this Riverside, pork noodle store here. And, I go there every week. And then when COVID-19 hits, right, his business took a major tumble here. It went from here to here overnight. And then, I'll begin to go back on every weekend, to the place. And, and then I realized, sometimes he's open and sometimes he's closed. And then I'll go for weekdays, and sometimes on the weekdays he's closed. And for really obvious reason, COVID-19 has really, hit him pretty hard. And I think and he told me, right, the reason he sometimes closed and open is because he wasn't sure on when the customers are coming. Now, that's the crisis that he was in. And then one fine day, right, out of the blue, I got a text from him on the phone, and he says, I'm open. And I said, gosh, you've never ever done this before. This is the first time I'm receiving a text from my pork noodle store owner, right, saying that he's open. And I actually turned up to the store, and I had my favorite noodles, right? And he does that every week. The minute he opens the store, he'll send me a text. And he didn't just send it to me. He sent it to all the customers that he knew, right? Now what happened? The business eventually picked up. Still not at the level that where it is, but the business eventually picked up. He saw the opportunity to connect with his customer in the midst of a crisis here. He decided to do something that the crisis has shut him down. He decided to overcome the crisis and find the opportunity to connect with his customers. And I'll tell you one thing. I've become a lot more loyal. I've become a lot more fervent as a supporter for Kevin's business here. So in a crisis, be aware of the danger, but recognize the opportunity here. And I want to quote this Emily Dickinson here, and this is really something that I really, really love. She says, not knowing when the dawn will come, I'll open every door. No, so in this crisis of, in this new abnormal season, right, really, you have no idea what will work or what will not work as a team here. My suggestion here as a team is that go ahead, open every door, right? You never know. Success is action. Success is opening the door. Success is not trying to predict what's behind the door, but it is about opening it, walking through it, and seeing it with your own very eyes here. All right. So the next one, the last one, what a team should not do here, and that is to be fixated on the new normal and forget totally about the journey into the next normal here. So don't be too focused on the present, but in everything that you're doing, together as a team, everything that you are learning as a team, all these are skills and dynamics and capabilities that is going to get you ready to thrive, when the real new normal or when the real next normal comes around, eventually. All right. So what should a team that's embracing this new normal, abnormal thing should be doing? Well, they should be doing this. They are to be factual and to be compassionate. As a team here, when I say to be factual and compassionate, I'm really saying, let's not deceive ourselves and say everything will be okay, right? Everything will be all right. Well, the truth is that some things are not going to be okay. Some things are not going to be all right. So be factual about it. But at the same time, be compassionate. Understand the struggles of your teammates when they're struggling to deliver, or when they're struggling to do the work that they're doing, because this is a very different time, right? And people wants to feel that they are understood. People wants to feel that that other people know that they're trying their best, and that they are really doing everything in their power, to learn new things, new ways, new expressions, right? So be factual and be compassionate to your teammates here. The second thing here is to learn to build and show trust to one another, to be more open, to be more transparent. And a simple example here is to just tell your teammates, the challenges that you're facing, and the ability to be able to hear what your friends are saying and to be able to acknowledge them, and to be able to, trust them for their word, that goes a long way to building team engagement. And every time your team is engaged, you're more likely than anybody else in the world, right, to be more productive, to be more resilient, to be more engaging, right? So build and show trust here. And this is something that I'm really, really proud of my own team here. So for you guys out there who are my team members, I want to say this to you in front of everybody. I'm so proud of everybody here. Before we came into COVID-19, we do have a little bit of trust issues and trust dynamics, right? But then when we hit COVID-19, my gosh, our business was turned upside down here. And there were so many things that we were not familiar with and we do not know how to resolve. And different ones of us were pretty much out of our space here to really, tackle those problems. But, the COVID-19 brought the whole team together, and people were just very willing to be courageously vulnerable. People were stretching their hands across the aisle and reaching out, and embracing each other, and, tolerating and trying to understand all the different dynamics that was going on here. So my team, I'm really proud of you, because as we go through this whole crisis here, a team that, is building trust during this period, when it comes to the next normal, my gosh, that trust is going to be the greatest priceless asset for your team that's going to make you go really, really well here. The next thing here is to encourage and support your people. Now, this is a very simple thing, right? Now, it's not that we don't encourage and support people, but I think during this period here, when you're embracing this new abnormal thing, is to be intentionally encouraging and intentionally supportive here. Because when you do that, you really build an environment of safety for people. And a safe people in a safe team is really, the fertile ground for greater, deeper, more productive engagement here. When people feel safe, they dare to venture. Right? When people feel safe, they dare to experiment. When people feel safe, they dare to take on, monsters, that's beyond their imagination here, right? So encourage and support people here. The next one is to discover and empower, your superheroes in your crisis here. I said this, right? You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised, how amazing your own team members are. They will surprise you with capabilities or perspective or knowledge that you never ever think they have. But in a crisis, the worst of times calls out the very best of us here. And I really experienced this even with my own team members here. I am so proud of every one of them because I have seen their work. And to be honest, I have seen some really amazing, for me, mind-blowing capabilities that is coming out from this small, tiny little team of ours here. So discover and empower people to do the things that they want to try and experiment here. And last but not least, it is to reboot, then try and try again. Reboot and try again. In other words, it's this, right? If you try something and it fails, doesn't matter. Reboot. Try again. Because during this season here, nothing is for sure. Nothing is for certain here, right? And there's so many, unpredictable things that's going on here. So the whole idea here is just try something, all right? And maybe that one thing that you try enough is going to be that one really successful factor that's going to really set your company in a different playing field, in a different playing game here, right? So reboot, try again. Now, let me just share with you, a couple more ideas here on how to remember everything that I've said just now. The whole idea is this, teams that are embracing the new normal, how do they do that? Well, the first thing to remember is this, right? A team has people and we have each other here. And every one of us, right, is supported by 3 different H, right? That stands for this, right? We help each other, we hear each other, and we do everything together to create hope for one another. Now, if you can do just that, ladies and gentlemen, friends, that we can help each other, hear each other, and in the process create hope for one another, then essentially we can really get out there and face the next new normal, together. And with that, I really, really hope that, this is something that's been very, very useful, for you as leaders and for you, as team members in your team here. COVID-19 is a very special season. It is not a fun season, but it is a special season. And it is a season that either is going to change and transform you, or is going to cause you to be a little lower than when you first started. So which one would it be, right? So with that, that's the end of my sharing for today. I want everybody to remember the next talk is not next Tuesday, but the next talk is this coming Friday. And we're going to be talking about, effective communication for workplace success here. And I'm going to be sharing a very special tool that you can use to help your people, engage each other through the way they talk. Because if you think about it, right, everything that we do is all about conversations. Conversation is leadership. Conversation is friendship. Conversation is relationship, right? Everything revolves around the way we communicate. So next week, I'm going to share with you how we can do this, with a very special tool here. And before I let everybody go, we are running a workshop called Unleash the Power in You. And we are doing this in collaboration with our partners from Taiwan and from Hong Kong. And this is going to be one big, gathering of folks, coming in from Singapore, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan. So if you're interested to discover about your strength, go to our Strength Asia, website, or go to our Strength Asia Facebook page, and you can find more details there. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and join us. And I hope to see you guys next Friday, right? So with that, bye-bye. Take care. I try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other.